I'm not quite as game as Sam there. I'm going to ask you not to applaud between poems. That's going to save me a bit of embarrassment, especially if you didn't clap, you see. So if we get to the end of the whole thing, my cheer squad here is going to lead you in thunderous applause then, so everyone will know what they're doing. My book is organised into three parts: recollection, introspection and observation, and that has some sort of meaning. That has some sort of meaning when you look at the poems there. You'd sort of get the idea that some are certainly inward looking and others are looking back and others are looking around. But I decided not to sort of try and follow that sort of sequence tonight, but rather just go through a number of poems and perhaps just give you a little bit of the setting for each of them as we go. The first one is Nostalgia Suite, S-U-I-T-E. It's in three parts, and the dedication is to a friend of mine by the name of Ed Baker, dedicated at the time of the passing of his Aunt Vera. So Ed's a friend of mine, about the same age as me, and I guess we, people of our age, any age I suppose, look back and look at our parents and look back at their era and try and imagine their youth and the time perhaps of their growing up. So this is looking back to my own childhood initially, but then I think you'll see as we go through it's recalling a time when my mother had passed, and by that time I was an orphan because my dad had passed some years before that. Nostalgia Suite 1. Our memories of them are from waist height, in floral dresses and makeup, smelling the furniture polish, hatted and gloved in church, preparing Sunday dinners of lamb roast, on trams to Bronte over the brow of the hill, to glimpse the impossible blue ball of ocean. Then through the cutting we'd look down on the beach, pelt down the grassy hill, find and claim a table in one of those latticed huts. Uncle Keith carved lampstands, plaited us belts, big and chunky. They lasted for years. Their weave defied explanation, girded our waists like champion boxers. Mum would come up the hill with the shopping, and we'd run to meet her, help carry the string bags. She made big breakfast mandatory. Cereals were just an opener before fried eggs and bacon or sausages. Dad would curse and crank the old prefect, Ute, into life, or wake us at 6 for a push start down the hill. It was more in their actions than their words. The hair on the arms of the men, the grizzled chins, old shaving mugs and brushes, belts that doubled for threat, post-depression habits of resharpening old blades, feeding the scraps to the dog, keeping chooks, and whatever you do, get your own place. We built a boat together, and watching Dad pull the timber in from the steam box, wrap it around the gunnel, was like seeing him younger than I'd ever known. I still remember the Christmas they hid our new bikes behind their dressing table. 2. Memories, wisps of smoke in the hospital corridor, float through the silences, cannot settle on the cold present. A sweet pain settles at my core, tells me that much good has passed. 3. They look into my eyes from their youth, and I wish I could join them in front of the photographer in the steam train smell and grime of Eddy Avenue circa 1946. Seeing the old house now is like seeing my life from a distance, to be viewed entirely at once in a way it never could be then. And the old dove interrogates incessantly in the sun, "Is that so? Is that so?" as it always did from the wires above. Thank you for thank you for the silence. That's what I asked for.
You got it, David.
Some of you would be aware, and some of you may even have known the late poet Martin Harrison. I was lucky enough to have Martin as something of a mentor at university. I was a bit of a late bloomer, did a degree in 1994. And so it would have been about 1996 when I met Martin, and I did an honours year under his supervision as well. And this next poem is dedicated to Martin Harrison. Martin. It's the soft, direct flow of his words, gathering the essence of objects, transfixing them in ways that melt my heart. It's the softness of his voice I hold in memory, easily heard on the page. In class, he'd invite us to be angels and devils, to critique each other's work. Tall, he was nevertheless impish. His side shuffle gait and approach as subtle as all his assertions, not least of those in his poems. The flow and music of his words reach into my memory, images of pattering rain, dragonflies at rest. They're beautiful books. If you ever, I have in mind a couple of them, although he wrote a number, one of them called Summer and another one Kangaroo Farm. I really recommend them. The next poem is called Umbilical, and you'll see fairly soon that it refers to my father. I grew up one of two siblings in the western suburbs of Fairfield. Dad, God bless him, was a bit of a drinker and had been from his youth. I found out from his family later on, but certainly Fridays and Saturday nights were a time for him to get into the pub, and it didn't always suit the family, and perhaps we had a little bit less to do with him, that's to say my brother and I, than we would have liked. Umbilical. A thick rope extends from my chest and disappears into sunlight and airiness over the lake. I want to draw the scene to within my reach, for somewhere at the end of that rope, my father is a young man, charging into the wind in the speedboat he never owned. My father is on the veranda behind me now, propped on one leg, wearing a flower pot hat and a towel for a cape, kayaking with his mates as they wait to freeze to sepia, fade and disappear. He'd always said he wouldn't be dead for quits. I'm going to rely on Michael to give me about a 3-minute warning, Michael, if you're there.
No, that's fine.
Thank you. This next one, as you would see from, you would guess from Anna Kurdzic-Nicholson's notes on the back cover of the book. She had quite a different take on my work. Apparently I had a redemptive experience of Catholicism and its church. I wouldn't argue with that. I've certainly given up on the orthodoxy, but I am still clinging to faith in the good people that I know work within it. So this next poem is called Built of Silence, and it's actually set in a church, and I guess too that you'll hear it relates to my early education in convent schools. Built of Silence. The empty church is sanctuary, built of silence and the past. As I sit here, all sound seems to be from the past, as evocative as the smell of bush smoke, and the present is a sunlit path to the past and back again. Children again send their laughter out over tarred school play yards, and red scraps lay sodden and perennial under the bubblers. Memories of benediction and incense. Blessed be God, blessed be God. Blessed be his holy name, blessed be his holy name. Past lives live beyond here become part of it now, and enter my limbs. Sounds, the sudden creak of timber or knees, the occasional insistence of a passing car, weave themselves through the mote-specked rays of here and now, and into the serene rug pattern of all that has passed. This next poem found early acceptance. It was written when my wife Pat and I, or at least in response to a journey that my wife Pat and I took to Melbourne, and we crossed the Hay Plains, which is an incredible experience at any time of day. We've got closing speed with other cars. I would estimate probably 240 kilometres an hour, and of an early morning you would see their headlights coming from miles away. And I guess it's a scene that makes you think. This poem is called Crossing the Hay Plains at Sunrise. Skies so coppery I can taste pennies. Low lit by the sun, the plain stretches its rough course to the edge of the world. I want to imagine dinosaurs, measure my significance against their rise and demise. But vague geology tells me the past is no easier imagined than the future. Where can I jump from? Tarzan stands at the edge of the falls, bathed in sunshine, ready to plunge down the side of the world. Life is subtraction after 50, fear displaced with coded talk about aches and pains and married daughters. Hours before Bill died, we discussed football. My passing will be imperfectly embedded in the particular, entangled in specifics of bed, pillows, flowers and friends, as plain as living. Why wait for solace? I'll ride this ripple of time, hug life's richness, hold all faults and folly, levelled as the plain. The car is warm, comfortable as a kitchen. I climb back in.
So Dad, we might just have one more thing after.
Sure.
Thank you.
This is a nice one to finish the first set with, especially because I shouldn't say mine, Pat, sorry, our 4 children are here. And this particular poem is called When I Look at Our Children. To Leanne, Karen, Michelle and Michael. When I look at our children, it's the sweet essence, the wraith I want to hug but can't. It's all the years, all the tenderness, all the love, and all that will be left. It's there in the room. It dances between us, my spirit's shadow double. When I look at them, I see myself enfleshing their souls. And I think that even if the earth is a fluke, this sight, this moment, is enough to carry me forward on a surge of hope. It's the ripple of the river's glint on overhanging trees. It's falling into a night sky, bejeweled by a zillion stars. It's the first poem that made me cry. My God contains all that. So true, I have only to surrender and all is done. I believe him intervene every time I look at our children. Thank you.
Now can we